Have you ever wished you could just like tell a computer exactly what you needed and have it understand perfectly?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
The art of crafting the perfect prompt, not just for writing,
Right.
but for getting the most out of AI.
Oh, yeah.
By the end of this deep dive, you'll be able to communicate your needs with crystal clarity,
Absolutely.
whether you're talking to a human or
Yeah.
a machine.
It all starts with understanding how a simple set of instructions, a prompt, can completely change how AI responds. It's like having a superpower to unlock information and creativity.
Our source material today is an article from the OpenAPI Hub community,
Right.
published December 2nd, 2024,
Right.
called Craft the Perfect Prompt, exploring the structure of a prompt. They break down a prompt into key ingredients, kind of like a recipe for success.
The first ingredient is the directive.
Okay.
Think of it as the core command, like, tell me the weather forecast for today. We might take that simple instruction for granted,
Right.
but for AI,
Yeah.
that directness is crucial for understanding what you need.
It's interesting how something so basic is the foundation for communicating with AI. But the article goes on to say that for more complex tasks, you can't just stop at the directive.
Right.
You need to give the AI examples.
Imagine trying to teach someone a new skill without showing them how it's done.
Right.
It'd be pretty tough, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, AI learns in a similar way.
Okay.
If you wanted to write a story, you might start with, here's an example of a story. Once upon a time. Now, write a similar story about a dragon.
That makes so much sense. It's like giving the AI a blueprint to follow.
Exactly.
It's fascinating how that mimics human learning.
Right.
But what really caught my eye was the next ingredient, role.
Assigning a role tells the AI to adopt a specific persona, which can dramatically influence its tone and style.
Oh.
For instance, you could say, as a science teacher, explain how photosynthesis works.
That's brilliant. Suddenly, the AI isn't just spitting out facts.
Right.
It's trying to sound like your old biology professor.
Uh.
Maybe even using those complicated terms they loved so much.
Yeah, exactly.
But how do you keep from getting overwhelmed with information?
That's where output formatting comes in.
Okay.
If you need a concise list, you wouldn't want the AI to give you a lengthy paragraph.
Right.
The article uses this example. List 3 reasons why recycling is important.
Oh, I see.
Being specific about the format
Yeah.
helps you get the information you need in a way that's easy to digest.
So it's all about being super specific, not just with what you want,
Yeah.
but also with how you want it presented.
Right.
That seems particularly useful when you're short on time and need information quickly.
Right.
Is there anything else that goes into creating a perfect prompt?
The final ingredient is additional information. This is where you provide context to help the AI understand the nuances of your request. Think of it like this.
Yeah.
If you ask someone to summarize a book,
Right.
you'd probably tell them what aspects you're most interested in.
It's like saying, hey, remember that movie we watched last week? Tell me about the ending.
Exactly.
You're giving context so they know exactly what you're looking for?
The article uses a great example. Provide a summary of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, focusing on the themes of wealth and ambition.
Oh.
That additional information helps the AI zero in on the specific details you care about,
Yeah.
leading to a more insightful and relevant response.
So we've got the basic ingredients, directive examples, role output formatting,
Right.
and additional information.
Absolutely.
But throwing ingredients together doesn't always make a good meal.
Right.
How do we make sure these elements work together effectively?
That's where best practices come in.
Okay.
The article highlights a few key strategies for crafting prompts that truly get results.
Okay.
So let's dive in.
Sounds good. So we've got these ingredients, but now we need to become master chefs of prompt crafting.
Right.
What are some of those best practices the article mentions?
Well, the first one is surprisingly simple.
Okay.
Use clear language. It's like giving someone directions. The more straightforward you are,
Yeah.
the better they'll understand.
It seems obvious, but I bet we've all experienced the frustration of vague instructions.
Oh, yeah.
You ask for a report and you get back something totally different from what you had in mind.
Yeah,
Have you ever had that happen?
absolutely. And that's why the article also emphasizes logical organization.
Okay.
Start by setting the stage with examples or context, and then Clearly state your directive at the end.
It's like telling a story. You introduce the characters and setting before diving into the action.
Exactly.
It helps the AI or even a person follow your train of thought.
Right.
And here's a best practice that really resonated with me. Tailor to your audience.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Think about who will be using the prompt.
Right.
And adjust your language accordingly.
For sure.
You wouldn't use the same level of technical jargon when talking to a beginner versus an expert in the field.
Absolutely.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's like explaining something to a child versus explaining it to a colleague.
Exactly.
You need to adjust your approach based on their level of understanding.
For sure.
But how do all these best practices come together in a real-world example?
The article provides a fantastic example of a well-crafted prompt about food chains.
Okay.
It starts by setting the context. Imagine you're a high school science teacher, preparing your students for a test on ecosystems.
Okay, I can picture that.
Yeah.
The pressure is on to make sure those students ace their exam.
Yeah.
What kind of prompt would you use to get the AI to help you prepare?
The prompt starts with a clear directive.
Okay.
Explain the concept of a food chain.
Got it.
But then it goes further by adding the role. As a science teacher, provide a clear and engaging explanation suitable for 10th grade students.
So we're not just asking for any explanation.
Right.
We're asking for one tailored to a specific audience.
Exactly.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Does the prompt go even further than that?
It sure does. It provides a concrete example.
Okay.
A food chain shows how energy and nutrients flow from one organism to another. For example, grass is eaten by a rabbit, and then the rabbit is eaten by a fox. This gives the AI a clear model to follow.
It's like saying, here's how it works in a simple case, now expand on that.
Right.
That's a great way to make sure the AI is on the right track.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than that.
You're right.
Okay.
The prompt then specifies the desired output formatting.
Okay.
Use bullet points to list the main components of a food chain. This ensures the information is presented in a clear and concise way.
Okay, so we've got the context, the directive, the role, the example, and the formatting. What else could we possibly need?
The final touch is adding that extra layer of information.
Okay.
Mention the importance of each component in maintaining ecological balance and relate it to real-world examples, like the impact of removing a predator from an ecosystem.
Wow, that's a really comprehensive prompt. It's amazing how all those elements work together to guide the AI towards a truly helpful response.
It is.
Do you think the article talks about how to test if your prompts are effective?
Actually, it does. It has a whole FAQ section that addresses common questions and concerns about prompts.
FAQs are always so helpful. I feel like they anticipate those questions you didn't even know you had. So let's dive into those FAQs. What kind of questions did they tackle?
Oh, they start with the basics.
Okay.
What is a prompt?
Right.
It's a good reminder that a prompt is essentially any instruction or question designed to elicit a specific response, whether you're dealing with AI or a person.
It's like laying the groundwork, making sure everyone's on the same page before getting into the more complex stuff.
Right.
What else did they cover?
The next FAQ digs into why structure is so important when crafting comps.
Okay.
They explain that a well-structured prompt increases the likelihood of getting relevant and useful responses. Like having a roadmap that keeps the AI on track.
Yeah.
So you don't end up with a bunch of irrelevant information.
That makes a lot of sense. Have you ever gotten an AI response that was just way off base because the prompt wasn't clear enough?
Oh, absolutely. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why the article stresses the importance of using clear language,
Right.
logical organization, and tailoring your prompts to your audience.
Right.
It's about minimizing miscommunication and getting the results you need.
It's like anything in life, communication is key.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking to a person or a machine, being clear and concise is crucial.
Absolutely.
But I'm also curious about what not to do. Are there any common pitfalls to avoid when crafting prompts?
You know, I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
And the article actually addresses that.
Okay.
It cautions against using ambiguous language because it can confuse the AI.
Right.
And lead to unexpected results.
Okay.
It's like giving someone vague directions and then wondering why they ended up in the wrong place.
It reminds me of that time I asked my smart speaker to play something upbeat, and it gave me a polka rendition of a classical symphony.
Oh, no.
Not exactly what I had in mind.
Yeah, exactly. And the article also warns against overloading the prompt with too much information.
Okay.
It's about finding that sweet spot between providing enough context and keeping it concise and focused. Too much information can overwhelm the AI
Right.
and lead to less effective responses.
So it's all about finding the right balance, just like in a good recipe.
Yeah.
You don't want to overpower the dish with too many flavors.
Right.
Were there any other FAQs that stood out to you?
There was one that I thought was particularly interesting.
Okay.
Can prompts be used in programming?
That's a great question. I wouldn't have immediately thought of that connection.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It turns out prompts can be used to guide users in writing code or using software features effectively. Think of it like providing instructions within the program itself,
Okay.
making it easier for people to interact with the technology.
That's pretty cool. So these prompts building skills aren't just for AI. They can be applied in various technological contexts. It seems like this skill is becoming more and more valuable as technology advances.
Absolutely. And the last FAQ we'll touch on today
Okay.
addresses how to test the effectiveness of your prompts.
Okay.
The article suggests trying them out in real scenarios and analyzing the quality of the responses.
So just see how it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an iterative process of refining your prompts over time to get the best results.
So it's all about experimentation and learning from what works and what doesn't.
It's kind of like how we learn to communicate more effectively with each other over time.
Yeah.
We adjust our approach based on the feedback we receive.
Exactly. It's about constantly refining your communication skills, whether you're interacting with AI or other humans.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what key takeaways do you think our listeners should keep in mind?
Well, I think the most important takeaway is that crafting effective prompts is all about clear communication. It's about understanding the core components, using best practices, and constantly refining your approach based on the results you get.
Right.
And while the article focuses on AI, these skills are applicable to almost every area of life.
I completely agree. Whether you're writing an email, asking for a raise, or even trying to get your smart speaker to play the right song.
Right.
Being able to clearly articulate what you need is a superpower.
It is.
So next time you find yourself struggling to get your message across, think back to this deep dive.
And consider how you can use the principles of prompt crafting to communicate more effectively.
It's about taking that extra step to ensure your message is understood, leading to better outcomes and less frustration in all aspects of your life.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of prompts. We hope you found it insightful and empowering. Until next time, keep those communication skills sharp.